Right off the top, I gotta send a shout out to the big homie Spinelli over there at All Wings Everything, man. He does most of his cooking in the oven, especially with his wings. I gotta modify it for the grill, so I'm gonna be making a couple of changes. One of those is the seasoning. I'm going to be using a rub instead of the individual seasoning. This one happens to have just about everything on Spinelli's list. So we're just gonna dust these wings with this. I'm just gonna coat these real good and kind of move things around, make sure they all get mixed up pretty good. By the way, I forgot to mention to you guys that the first step in this recipe is to marinate your wings for 4 hours in pickle juice. So these wings have already been marinated. I did it overnight in pickle juice. This recipe calls for sweet pickles, not dill pickles. These are the pickles that I chose. This is kind of a bread butter chip kind of pickle. I basically took all the juice out of here, dunked all my wings in them, and let them go like that overnight. So these wings have already been marinated overnight in pickle juice. My grill is coming up to temp. Let's go down there and see what it's looking like. I'm just gonna take you with me if you don't mind. Spinelli ran his at about 400 degrees, so I'm gonna try to be around there myself. Looks like I'm already at about 450. Dang, smoke getting in my eyes. So I'm gonna knock this top vent down a little bit and see if we can't stop it from going any higher. And keep it at around 400. Now, this brings me to the other thing that I changed and modified about Spinelli's recipe, because in Spinelli's recipe, he used honey and he put it in with the dry ingredients right at the beginning. First of all, I don't have any honey, so I'm gonna substitute syrup. The other major change that I'm gonna make in that recipe is that I'm going to use that syrup and the bourbon. There's also bourbon in the recipe. So I'm gonna mix that bourbon and syrup, and then I'm gonna baste it on, brush it on about the last 10 minutes. I'm concerned that if I put it on at the beginning, all that sugar will burn, which is very typical of what happens when you're cooking on a grill. It's just a different kind of heat, man. You're closer to the heat source. If I put that on right now, I'm gonna have way too much char on my wings. So we're just gonna put these on the grill just like we normally would, with nothing but the rub on it. Get that applewood smoke. And then about 10 minutes I'm done. I'm gonna mix that bourbon in with some syrup, and we're gonna come out there and brush them on. Stay tuned. This is the setup I'm gonna be using for this cook. This is just two charcoal baskets placed together in the center to kind of mimic my Vortex. I have a Vortex, but I want to use this because I don't want it to run as hot as that Vortex makes the grill run. I want to keep this around 400. I'm just going to put a chunk of applewood right there in the middle and let that smolder, let the smoke get clear, and by that time the grill will be hot enough. I'll put the wings on. I'll come back out here in about 15 minutes to check on these wings just to see how fast they're cooking. Doing a quick check on the rings, I can see that they're cooking at a pretty moderate pace. This actually tells me a lot about this setup right here. My chunk is just about spent, but I'm not gonna put another one on there because that would be dirty smoke. So this is actually a good pace, and that should be perfect. We're gonna keep on rocking. Let me get back to the sweet spot. These are looking good. Looking good. I flipped them. I thought my camera was rolling, but they weren't. But this is what it's looking like on the top side. So these are coming along nice. Now notice the char that I'm getting there, and I don't even have the sweet stuff on it yet. So it was definitely a good decision to wait for that syrup and whiskey mixture. Let me let them cook a little bit on the bottom side, about 10 minutes. We'll come back and flip them back to the top side, and then I'll start basting it with that whiskey and syrup.